What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another market recap. Today is April 10th, 2025. So, sorry about the lighting in here. It's about to storm like crazy, it looks like outside, and I don't have a light yet. So, lost my natural lighting. No trades for me today. So, I spent a lot of time waiting for setups to occur and for some live entries to occur. And nothing really developed except for, this dollar Mexican's a good example of it. If we swap over to the micro time frames, I was waiting for this setup. It had a really nice, I'll just go back here a day so you can see the pivots. Well, I didn't go back. Try that again. It had a really nice daily, right? Like this was one of the primaries from our watch list that we made. And clear breakdown, clear lower low, trend change. So that was 2 levels up on a daily time frame that I was looking at this. So I'm 2 levels down now, trying to catch that 1 hour run, but with a really tight position sizing. To get like high risk to reward. The kind of base position was 4-1, but really I was looking to target to the bottoms here for 10 or 12 R, somewhere around there, if the trade would have played out. So it's been a while waiting for like price to kind of like break down and get this double top here, and then it finally broke down. And then when it comes to pullback to this 0.382, really the only kind of entry it gives at value for me is a limit order. So I decided earlier, yesterday or so, that I was going to focus on live entries for the rest of the week. So I wasn't able to get into this trade, but a limit order would have put me into it. Granted, I would probably be knocked out of this trade right now for break even or so. I don't think it never really broke down, but it was late in the day. I mean, this kind of occurred a little after 1 o'clock my time. So when markets roll over at 4 o'clock my time. So, but this was really the only one of the main setup that I saw today that kind of played out. So I track every hour. I essentially aim to go through all the pairs on this list and pick the best one if there is a setup available from any of the strategies that I trade. So mainly I'm looking for IBOs and CBOs, but if there's like an ABO there, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain it. But I try every hour to sift at the beginning of every hour and look for a setup, right? And most of the time I find one. It's about I start doing that around 7 a.m. and I stop at 1 p.m. And usually in that window of time, there might be 1 hour where I can't find a setup, but it's very rare that it's more than 1 hour in a day. I think the max I've seen is 2 hours in a day that I haven't been able to find a setup, but usually I can find something that's tradable. And this would classify, right? Like it's something that's tradable. And then I'll designate if I should use like how the trade played out. If I didn't take it, or if I did take it, but if you were to get into the trade, could you use a limit order? Could you use a 5-second live entry? I'll notate those two things. Sometimes it's both. Sometimes you can use a limit order and a live entry. Sometimes it's only a limit order, right? And then I'll notate kind of if I took the trade or not. And then I'll also notate what the return for the position was. So if I didn't take the trade, because I'm already sitting here, I'll go through and manage it like I would if I was actively in the trade. And that list has been pretty interesting the past few weeks, honestly. Like it's a little different for my brain to wrap around using these limit orders, but like a day like today using limit orders would have been mainly losing trades. It would have ended the day at negative 2.7 R if I used limit order for every single one of those trades that I identified at the beginning of every hour. Because I think there was a total of 5, and 4 of them would have been losers, and there was 1 winner in there. And the winner was only for like 1 R or so. But there's also been days, like on Monday, for instance, if I would have executed every single trade that I identified in those hour blocks, primarily the only way to enter them is with a limit order, would have been 4.28 R, right? So if I would have executed everything this week purely with limit orders, everything that I identified each hour, then going into today, I would have been sitting at like 11.85 R, I think is what it was, which is a ton. Like, that's crazy numbers. And so I'm seeing these setups, but yet I'm sitting here in a week where I'm currently sitting at 3 trades for negative 0.9 R, 0.92 or something like that. Right. So a pretty unequal result here of trying to use my discretion to enter what I believe to be the best setup, and primarily trying to enter setups that I can use live entries on to not tank my strike rate. But ironically, if I just send it every hour, no matter what, and just enter these positions with limit orders, and they either play out or they don't, then there's a high likelihood that I can hit 10 R plus weeks pretty easily. I mean, my goal right now is 3 to 4 R a week. So it's fascinating. It's something I'm continuing to track. It kind of goes in line with my spring 2025 project. It's really kind of what it is I'm gathering, data for this, and I want to have a pretty large sample size of data before I commit to risking capital on that kind of scale towards something. But it's fascinating. I mean, it's all the same strategies that I trade. It's just executing a trade every hour if it's available. And it's simply, the thought approach is, what is the best setup in front of me for this given hour? Okay, cool. If there's more than one, that's fine. Usually there's just one. Sometimes there's 2. If there's 1 or 2, which one presents an entry first? Okay, that's the one that you enter, right? And if the entry occurs, you're in the trades, whatever, manage it as normal. My normal kind of management P1, P2, P3 method. So, and a lot of those trades play out for, 1 plus R. But there are a lot of losses in there for negative 1 R, for full losses like we've had this week. Ironically, I took 2 losses back to back this week that were full losses, which aren't very common for me. I'm usually able to execute at least P1 to mitigate my risk by half or so on a position, if not being able to get to at least a break-even point. But I started the week out using limit orders, but I'm not really committed to using them on every single hour. And I almost think that you kind of have to fully commit at this point for that strategy maybe to play out. But I don't know. So I've been thinking a lot about this week. So, I mean, the approach that I took the week prior, where it was use limit orders, but use discretion on which positions to enter and which ones not to enter, it gave me the result I was after last week. And it's been giving me the result I've been after for the past, month plus, that I've been trading these micro timeframes and using limit orders. But every time I go look at the data, it's blatant that if I can get over, I guess, the mental hurdle I currently have of just sending it and executing flawlessly, so every single hour placing a trade, which is just a lot of trade volume for me. Like, I'm not used to that much trade volume in a day. I mean, essentially that's like, it's taking 5 to 6 trades a day. And I come from being a trader that takes like 4 to 8 trades in a month when I was trading the daily time frames. So just a complete switch. So it's interesting, but I'm gonna keep tracking. I'm just thinking out loud here. No one really watches these videos except for myself. So something for me to look back on in a while if I do decide to make that switch and see what happens. Yeah, fascinating. Either way, so no trades for me. This is the only trade I really saw that kind of played out today. The rest of them were all kind of losers. And this, with my normal management style, this would have probably just played out for like a 1. As far as our daily watch list went, dollars are when like price action does this double bottom stuff. Typically for me, it becomes a no trade to kind of take this trade short anymore, right? So it's like if you look at the micros, you see you have this, price comes and does double bottom. What I want to see is price break down and it come back in a singular motion, tap me in, and then allow me to enter, and then proceed to my target. And then I'll manage it along the way. What I don't want to see is price break down, come back, get close, but not all the way to an entry point, and then come back and retest the previous lows, and then come to my value area, right? Because at that point, it's like the micro timeframes are starting to change trend on me, and I don't feel super confident about the position anymore. Sometimes they still play out, but most of the time they don't, in my experience. So it just really depends on what the price action looks like. I mean, dollars are, honestly, looks like it could possibly break down at some point. I think my pivots didn't update. Oh, this is ZAR. I don't think ZAR updates for a minute. Some of these could still play out, though. Like dollar Mexican is still fascinating. It wasn't one of my favorite pairs yesterday, but it's still kind of holding this area. Still kind of watching it for a micro time frame play. See if I can take it short. But I mean, it's decent. Dollar Swiss, kind of this line we originally drew in. We didn't like that it was sitting at that resistance. I mean, it acted as resistance and didn't allow it to push up. Dollar NOK kind of did the same thing as ZAR, formed a double bottom, then pulled back, and now just kind of been chopping. The Kiwi and Aussie pairs really never pulled back at all. I think it might be easier if we go back just a hair here. There we go. Yeah, they never really pulled back to present an entry. I think Kiwi CAD actually, it pulled back, but not to value, but technically did give an entry if you were if you're okay with like a tighter stop. And it did play out. I mean, more than likely, you probably would have exited here on this breakdown. I mean, this is kind of a clear trend and an easy breakdown to, clip. So you could have just clipped that trend as it broke down, knocked you out for probably about 1.5 or so. But it is a valid trade. I typically don't enter stuff this high. Like I really want it to be at least sitting around 0.382 for me to enter a trade. But this is also like something I'm tracking now is how many of these day trades on these 1 hour runs, how many of these present entries that are a good bit above 0.382 that require a stop that's roughly about 0.5, and how many of those are available, how many of those actually play out, and stuff like that. So, because I'm considering, changing my approach and entering stuff like this if it's available, because I've seen this a lot. I watch it play out, and really I like to enter from an area of value, but I also see stuff like this play out pretty regularly. The Best trade from last night, I would say that it was closest to strategy and normal position sizing would have been this Euro Swiss. It's the only pair that triggered an alert for me, but I was waiting for it to get down to 0.382 here, right? Like I really wanted to see price get to roughly this level. And it got close for a split second. It kind of like spiked down, right? But nothing to really present the entry I'm after. But again, if I'm okay with taking stuff a little bit above, had a clear, 30-second entry, and could have taken this to roughly about 1R. So price would have pushed past 1R here, would have gone to lock in 1-to-1, and then on this breakdown right there, it probably would have clicked me out for 1-to-1. So, but of everything that was on the watch list, the only two pairs that would have netted profit from last night were this Kiwi Cat if you entered super high, and this Euro Swiss if you entered just a little high, which honestly, it fits. Like it's still a valid trade. It's something I probably should have taken. But I've been really strict with waiting for it to be in an area of value. So, but that's pretty much it from yesterday. Nothing else really played out. A lot of trades kind of like, didn't pull back all the way and then pushed and kind of formed these double tops and then just reversed. And once they form that double top and it, come back to the level point of entry, it's a no trade for me. So same thing with Euro Pound. It kind of formed this double bottom and then came up for an entry. I looked at it when this occurred, so I guess this did trigger an alert for me as well. Looked at it when this occurred, but due to the double bottom, I kind of wrote it off. And I think that's roughly it for the pairs from last night. It's kind of a shame. There was tons of stuff on watch, a lot of really good pairs, and hardly anything really played out. But you only need one trade. So realistically, this Euro Swiss would have been the one. All right. So let's clear some of this out. As far as watch list wise goes, I don't really have much of anything, to be honest. I already came through here and did a scan, so I flagged them. So we'll move them over and look at them again real quick. So I have, what do I have here? Honestly, got two Euro pairs, got this pound pair, and these two yens. None of these are really great. They're just kind of options. Like this was on watch yesterday for an IBO, and it's still kind of at the level like both of these pairs are. Granted, it's come off of resistance here. Definitely nothing that's primary worthy, but something to look at. Primary, I have this flagged for if I can find some micro time frame plays that are with the kind of like long bias that I have on them. I'd be interested in taking something like that. And I'm still watching Euro dollar as well as Euro pound. I don't know why I don't have that flagged. I don't know what happened to it. For, I guess, kind of ABO style plays. They're both at these pretty overextended levels. Go ahead and delete all of that. They're both they both kind of run. They're now kind of hitting some previous levels. Granted, they could still push higher. At least Euro pound could. But it's also kind of double topping at the moment. So it's just something I'm keeping an eye on, see what happens tonight. Similar with euro dollar. It's kind of at an interesting level. Been respected there, here. A pretty, decent level. And these are all-time highs for past few years that it's been at. I guess since, what is this, 2022? So in the past 3 years, these are all-time highs. So it's interesting. See what happens. I don't really know why I flagged this. Maybe kind of short bias, maybe, but it's kind of ugly. So I'll watch it. Main things I'm kind of interested in are this euro dollar and this euro pound. And then pound dollar was the only kind of odd thing, CBO-esque. It would technically kind of need a deeper pullback though. And I don't love this kind of swinginess, whipsawiness is kind of what it looks like, based from all this tariff stuff for the past few days. So that's really it. That's all I've got. Not a whole bunch tonight. Yeah. Either way, that's all for me. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. See you.